Never go to the second location. Always trust your gut.
Hello, my name is Chrissy Champagne, and you are listening to Residue, a true crime podcast dedicated to keeping you paranoid. On Residue, we tell you the truth behind your favorite movies, and today, we're doing something a little different. We're not going to be talking about a true crime story. I'm going to need a little break from that this week, and I know that you guys might need a little break too. So today we're going to be doing a based on a true story, Song Sung Blue. Before we begin with our story, just to let you guys know, you can follow me on Instagram at Residue Podcast, TikTok, Residue a True Crime Podcast, and Facebook, Residue a True Crime Podcast. And thank you all so much for the DMs and the reviews. You're all amazing. Resi Crew forever. The best thing you can possibly do for any podcast that you love is leave a positive review. And also, don't forget to hit that follow button. And as I said in the beginning, this is not going to be our typical story today. Usually we focus on true crime or creepy cursed movie sets, but today we're just going to focus on based on a true story. You still might be shedding a few tears on this one though. Song Sung Blue is a 2025 biographical musical drama. It's directed by Craig Brewer and based on the acclaimed 2008 documentary of the same name. The film tells the story of a Milwaukee couple named Mike and Claire Sardina who become local legends performing as the Neil Diamond tribute duo, Lightning and Thunder. And at its core, this movie is about ordinary working class people chasing extraordinary dreams through music, love, and resilience. And this film stars Hugh Jackman as Mike Lightning Sardina and Kate Hudson as Claire Thunder Sardina. The supporting cast members include Michael Imperioli, Jim Belushi, Fisher Stevens, King Princess, and Ella Anderson. Now, I have to tell you, when this movie first came out and the trailers were all over the place, I thought this was just another Neil Diamond biopic movie. They were doing all these movies, Elton John, Freddie Mercury, Bruce Springsteen. I just figured now they're doing a Neil Diamond film. And I didn't really pay that much attention to it until I watched the actual trailer and noticed, oh my God, this is a love story. This is a story about chasing dreams. We've got to watch this. It was unlike anything that I expected. Many viewers connected to this movie because it focuses on just regular people rather than celebrities. And instead of telling the story of Neil Diamond himself, this film explores how music can transform everyday lives. There are themes of unconventional careers, falling in love later in life, working class ambition, and the dare to dream beyond your circumstances runs throughout this story. And I want to add more stories like this to the Residue rotation because I feel like it's important for us to also hear some uplifting stories. Song Sung Blue premiered at the AFI Fest on October 26th, 2025, before it received a theatrical release on Christmas Day through Focus Features. And critics praised the chemistry between Hugh Jackman and Kate Hudson, with many highlighting Kate Hudson's emotional performance in particular. I mean, Kate was amazing in this movie, especially after you go back and you watch the documentary, you watch interviews with Claire Sardina. Kate Hudson nailed this role. She was nominated for Best Actress at the Oscars that year, and Brian Truitt of USA Today wrote, "Can a major Hollywood star have another breakthrough role later in life? Because that's what it feels like watching Kate Hudson as a talented Midwestern pop rock singer in Song Sung Blue." In the 2008 documentary of the same name, Song Sung Blue, Eddie Roser of Urge Overkill states that he thinks America needs people who are ready to say that I'm not just going to go get a job. I don't want some boring old job. This is a story about people who dared to dream big. The story of Mike and Claire Sardina is a story that proves dreams don't have to follow traditional rules. I never knew an American dream, but people tell me that I'm living it. Mike Sardina stated this to the cameras while being filmed for the 2008 documentary Song Sung Blue. The house, the car, the wife, the kids, and the picket fence, I got here by singing. And when I first saw her, I said, I hope she can sing as good as she looks. Mike Sardina was talking about his wife, Claire. Claire Sardina was born Claire Stingle in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and her parents were named Francis and Kenneth. They were both factory workers. When Claire was only 9 years old, her father died suddenly from a heart attack. So she was raised by her single mother, Frances, and she was one of 6 children. Claire was the only member of her family that had any musical talent, and she had this gorgeous voice. Her sister remembers walking home from school with her one day, and she said, "Hey, Claire, what do you want to be when you grow up? Because I want to be a teacher." And Claire looked at her and said, "I'm going to be a movie star and smoke cigarettes." Claire did live a pretty sheltered life as a child, but she wanted to be in front of an audience so bad. And when she was in front of an audience singing her heart out, she would bring that audience to tears. She was the single parent of 2 children on welfare when she met Mike Sardina, and she said that when they met, this felt like a fairy tale. Mike Sardina was also born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin in 1951. His parents' names were Alice and Anthony Sardina, and Mike served in the Vietnam War, and he was a retired body shop manager. Mike was a lifelong musician with an R&B background, and he was a member of the Esquires. They were a R&B band from the 60s, and their most popular song was Get On Top. Mike was a workaholic. And he met the Esquires at the Wisconsin State Fair. And when they did meet and Mike joined their band, they nicknamed him Lightning. Now, Mike grew up in a household full of music because his father was a jazz musician, but his father was also pretty distant and he didn't really want kids. So Mike didn't have the greatest relationship with him. Mike served in the Vietnam War, and when he returned home, he was addicted to heroin and alcohol. He did get treatment, and he soon turned his addiction over to guitar. Music and guitar were his addictions now. Friends say that as soon as Mike received treatment, he never drank again. You could always find him with a cup of coffee in his hand or a cigarette, but he never touched alcohol. Mike also had 2 children from a previous marriage, Mike Jr. and Angelina. And I do have to state that I read some articles that Mike Jr. stated that this movie whitewashes reality and ignores the household tension and challenges that his father faced. Because if you do watch that documentary, there seems to be a lot of tension in the household. According to a FoxNews.com article, during a recent interview with the Daily Mail, Mike's children, Michael Sardina Jr. and Angelina, expressed their many issues with the 2025 film, including only getting paid $30,000 to consult on the film. And Mike Jr.'s assertion was that he was, quote, purposely cut out of the film. He states, "Every interview that those monsters have been on national television don't even mention my existence at all, even though I was the most prevalent force in my father's life, even when I wasn't in Wisconsin, because I'm his only son." Mike Jr. wasn't included in the 2025 version of Song Sung Blue. He was participating in the 2008 documentary, which told the story of his dad's legacy, but Angelina is included in the 2025 film, and she is portrayed by King Princess. Claire's 2 children, Rachel and Dana, are also both portrayed in the film, and they appear a lot in the 2008 documentary. So it is 1987. Mike and Claire, they're both divorced. They each have 2 children, and they're building a career in this cover band world. And Claire is performing as Patsy Cline. Mike was also performing around the circuit, and he noticed Claire. So he goes up to her. He thinks they could become this duo, and he tells her, "Listen, I have a business proposition for you, so I thought maybe we could have a business meeting." So Mike sets up this business meeting at a Milwaukee Brewers game, and Claire's a little bit confused. She's like, wait a minute, how do I dress for this? Is this still a business meeting? So they go to it, and she says, yeah, that's what it started off as. We were going to talk business, but it ended up that this became a date, and it was very romantic. Claire spoke to entertainmentweekly.com, and she said that after the baseball game, they walked down to the river, they got some ice cream cones, they got a little closer, he put his arm around her, and she was like, wait a minute, is this still a business meeting? And then she said that she never wanted this evening to end. Mike was already nicknamed Lightning, so Claire took the name Thunder, and this is when Lightning and Thunder was created. The iconic musical duo Neil Diamond tribute act from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. There is a really great article written by the shepherdexpress.com, Dave Larson. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. And he writes that Song Song Blue hints at the fame of Lightning and Thunder. This fame didn't travel far beyond the Milwaukee County line. Now, journalist Dave Larson, he was one of the first people to write about lightning and thunder and this whole phenomenon, and he was actually thanked in the documentary's credits. And he states that Song Song Blue doesn't come to grips with why lightning and thunder were as locally popular as they were in the early 1990s. And I want to read to you what he wrote. Innocent of postmodern irony, the duo never understood that for a segment of their audience, they were an unintended parody. Funny because they were like an old-school Vegas act with the seams showing, but they sang well and their routine coincided with the peak of baby boom tribute acts. The duo became local celebrities, and on August 12th, 1989, Mike and Claire got married at the Wisconsin State Fair in front of about 800 to 1,000 people. And then they performed for all of these people. Everyone was having a blast. The crowd was going crazy. Claire's brothers even wore these tuxedo shirts instead of actual tuxes, and the back of the shirt said Thunder and Lightning's wedding. The only person that wasn't fond of this marriage at the time was Claire's mother. She expressed her feelings, saying that morally she can't go along with this wedding. She hated the idea that the whole thing took place at a county fair. She hated the fact that Claire was a divorced woman marrying a divorced man. But no one could deny the fact that Mike made Claire's dreams come true. He made both of their dreams come true. These two are going to stop at nothing to get their name out there, to get their band noticed, to make a living playing music and having fun. They even had a manager named Dr. Dave Watson. Dr. Dave was actually a dentist. Now, he's out at a show one night. He sees Mike performing, and he notices every time he smiles, he's got this one tooth missing. And it was annoying the doctor. So he walked up to Mike. He told him, listen, come into my office. I'll fix your teeth for free. And these two form a friendship. And now Dave becomes their manager and he starts getting them gigs. He talks about this one gig that they got in this biker bar. And he was warned ahead of time, listen, this is a pretty rough crowd. They're not going to enjoy seeing a Neil Diamond tribute band. So Dave warns Mike and Claire and tells them, I don't know if you should go ahead with this gig. Let's just cancel it. Mike is like, hell no. We're doing it. They arrive at the show. You can see actual footage of this show on the documentary, and you can hear people in the crowd yelling, play Nirvana. It's the 90s, the early 90s. And they don't know any Nirvana. They're getting ready to sing Forever in Blue Jeans. So they just go on with their show, and the crowd just boos the entire time. They were only playing for about 30 minutes when they get kicked off the stage. The owner of the bar tells them, you gotta bounce. I can't handle this anymore. I'll pay you half of your money for coming out here and trying, but don't ever come back here again. And after this happens, Claire just runs out of the bar. She's in the alleyway crying her eyes out. And Mike doesn't know what to do because this has never happened to him before. He's never been kicked out of a gig. These two are feeling down and out, and their manager, Dave, comes up to them and says, listen, one day something big is going to happen to you two, and you're going to be on top of the world. So you just got to hang on tight because you got to have your bad days to have your good days. This is all going to work out for you. And that night, they fall asleep around 1 a.m., and the next day they get the phone call from Summerfest. And Summerfest is a huge musical festival that gets about 900 to 1,000,000 people in the door during an 11-day run. Summerfest is iconic. It's an annual musical festival. It's held in downtown Milwaukee. It was even certified by Guinness World Records as the world's largest music fest. It spans 3 consecutive weekends from late June to early July. And Lightning and Thunder weren't just invited to play Summerfest. They were invited to play Summerfest by Eddie Vedder. Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam wanted Lightning and Thunder to open for them. On July 8th, 1995, Eddie Vedder introduced Lightning and Thunder. And Eddie told them that he wanted them to play Song Sung Blue. And Mike said, hell no. We got to play Forever in Blue Jeans for this crowd. This is a Forever in Blue Jeans type of crowd. Eddie didn't want that. He wanted Song Sung Blue. But anyway, he went with it. He sat down on this stool and he sits there with some pieces of paper reading the words to Forever in Blue Jeans and sings along with Lightning and Thunder. And I'm telling you, the crowd goes wild. There were about 30,000 people watching this, and Mike was just in love with Eddie Vedder. He said that he respected Eddie Vedder more than anyone in this business. Lightning and Thunder are on top of the world. Everything is going wonderfully. They are supporting their family through this wonderful career that they've created themselves. They created Lightning and Thunder, and they have built a following. 5 years later, in 1999, Claire is outside in her front yard gardening, and a 74-year-old motorist driving past her house loses control of his car, swerves into a parked car and flies up onto Claire's front lawn, hits her from behind, and pins her underneath his vehicle. She was just gardening, relaxing in her own front yard, not a care in the world. And now she's pinned underneath this vehicle. A passerby jumps out of her car, runs over to where Claire is on the ground, and she sees that she's missing half of her leg, or half of her leg is gone. So this woman wraps her shirt around Claire's leg, uses it as a tourniquet, and waits with her until the ambulance arrives. And doctors said that if this woman didn't help Claire, she most likely would have not survived. Claire states, it happened abruptly, it happened quickly, and I was just there doing what everyone else does in their yard. This was an incredibly difficult time for Claire and her family. Gigs were getting canceled. The family felt like everything was falling apart. There was even an instance where the family was taking a trip down to Six Flags, and Claire had a psychotic break. The family dropped her off at a nearby hospital and they admitted her, and she insisted that she wanted them to go to the amusement park without her because she needed to feel like her family was okay, but she also needed to really deal with what was happening to her. And she needed some space just to get control of her life again. There are some parts in the documentary where they're videotaping the family and Claire is just hysterical, crying, and she won't get out of bed. And her daughter, Rachel, is just begging her and telling her, Mom, we need you. My brother and I need you. You have to move on with your life because we need you here with us. Lightning and Thunder quickly start to realize that all people cared about was their performance. They just wanted them on stage, making them happy. They didn't want to hear anything about the problems that Lightning and Thunder were going through. And gigs are being canceled left and right. Mike doesn't know what to do. He's going to the gigs on his own. Thunder refuses to show up to the gigs because she just can't handle it. She doesn't want to be on stage in front of everybody going through what she's going through. While talking to the documentary crew, Mike states that, listen, we weren't dead. We just lost half a leg. He talks about going to these bookings alone and how he would cry on stage. He couldn't be happy-go-lucky Mike anymore. He became severely depressed, and he said that he had an emptiness deep inside of him that wouldn't let him go. Claire is also dealing with the fact that her life is completely different. She says that she's just in her garden doing something that everybody does, and all of a sudden her back is turned for 1 second, and her life will never be the same again. She was on pain medications for the ghost pain that she was feeling from where her leg used to be, and she was gaining weight, and she wasn't feeling like herself. And she started hearing rumors that Mike was cheating on her with groupies and that she was never going to be able to be the girl that he used to love. So she didn't know how to pull herself out of this. I mean, there are such sad moments in the film where her daughter Rachel is saying to her, you have responsibilities. You have responsibilities and you cannot be like this all the time, Mom. Please pull yourself out of it. It gets to a point where Claire started the divorce process and Mike hired an attorney and they were on the road to divorce. Claire says that he made my life beautiful and I helped make his life beautiful, but I just don't feel beautiful anymore. The two know they want to be together. Mike knew that he wanted to be with Claire, so he fought for her. He had a friend ask him, are you sure you really want to go through with this divorce? And Mike's like, no, I'm not sure. I feel like we are in this together. We got into this together and we are going to stay in this together. And Mike fought for Claire to stay with him. But he also knew that he was going to have to get a job, that he was going to have to figure out a different way to support his family. Mike was so against getting a job because he felt like he was put on this earth to make music and make people happy and forget their cares and their worries. And a part of him just refused to give in to the man. I'm not going to go work for someone else. Like, I've built this amazing career and I know that I can make it good again. But it wasn't only Mike's refusal to give in to taking a 9-to-5 corporate type of job. It was also that he found out he was having some pretty serious health issues. Like, he started realizing that he wasn't able to breathe at night. He couldn't lay down and breathe. Everything hurt. He went to the doctor. He found out that, he had some heart issues. And so he decided that he was going to become a healthier person. He was going to work out more. He was going to eat healthier. But Mike was also going to start smoking more because he thought that if you smoked more, it would help you lose weight. Because if you're smoking, you're not eating. He even makes a statement about how so many Americans are overweight because they don't realize they can just smoke because smoking helps you lose weight. I mean, Mike and Claire felt a lot of pressure to lose weight, to look younger. I mean, they're in the business, Claire even has a conversation with her mother, and her mother never really agreed with this career path at all. A lot of their family didn't. Claire says that it was really difficult to pursue this dream because everyone was always telling them how ridiculous a dream like this is, that people don't do this. Just go get a real job like everybody else. Make money that way. Claire's mother asks her, what if you didn't lose your leg? Where do you think that you and Mike would be? Do you think you would have pursued your dreams? Do you think that Lightning and Thunder would have been a huge success? And Claire says, yes, I do. I feel like we would have already had a show in Vegas by this time if I wasn't hurt in the accident. Claire is being told that she might have to give up her dreams. Her family members are telling her it's probably time to come to the realization that this isn't going to work out. And her mom even believes that she just needs to expand her life. She needs to come up with new dreams, new goals. And Claire is like, hell no. I know that as far as my family is concerned, I'm never going to amount to anything, but I already have. I did amount to something. I was something when I was with Lightning and Thunder. We made our dreams come true, but we're just in a slump. And if we did it once, I know that we can do it again. I gotta tell you, there is nothing better than somebody telling you that they don't believe in you and that they don't think you can do what you want to do to make you kick your ass into high gear and shove it right in their face. Claire's mother says to her the heyday is over. Appearance-wise has a lot to do with this, and people who don't maintain their appearance or they're heavier, they're not really going to succeed. Around this time, Rachel, Claire's daughter, becomes pregnant. and she decides that she's going to give this baby up for adoption. So now the household is a little more tense because they're trying to figure out how to make more money. They also have Rachel, who has just become pregnant, and you are never going to believe what happened for a second time. Another vehicle smashed in to the Sardina house. An out-of-control vehicle, for the second time, hit their home, and luckily this time nobody was outside in front. It's one of those moments in life where it feels like just so much is being thrown at the family at once, and they are never going to be able to pull themselves back out of this, quote, slump that Claire says that they're in. But then everything starts to get better. Rachel gives birth, and she gives the baby to a lovely, loving family, and everyone feels great about the decision. Mike even kicks it into high gear again and gets them a gig at the Asian Moon Sports Bar and Nightclub, and their core fan base is still there. These two realize that the Lightning and Thunder fan base has never really left. They want to see them perform. These two are getting on stage week after week. Even if there's hardly anyone in the audience, they do not care. They are busting their asses up there. They are giving the performance of their life. Mike would tell the crowd, I want everyone in this audience to go home and tell 10 people about next week. They want to fill the room. They are trying. And Mike says, I won't lay down and I won't give up. I said, to no one there. I know you guys love it. I know you love the singing. I saw the reviews. Did you not expect me to sing in a Neil Diamond story? Come on. The band is back together. The couple are making their rounds around town. They've got many gigs lined up. Everything seems to be going perfectly. And then, bam, they are hit again because Mike's health starts to rapidly decline, but he's still not giving up. And his daughter Angelina says they kept their dream going. Most people would have given up, but when you work hard for something, when you work that hard for something, you deserve your dreams to come true. And Claire still believed that Lightning and Thunder could become a household name. Lightning and Thunder play the 10-year anniversary at the Wisconsin State Fair, and Claire's daughter, Rachel, is so excited. She says, my parents are in a band, man. They're so cool. You want to go hear my parents play? Life is good. And then Mike calls 911 when they return home because he was having chest pain. He goes to the hospital and he's told that he is going to need a quintuple bypass. That is 5 bypasses. It feels like every time this family has a good moment, it's struck down by another devastating moment, time after time. Mike returns home from the hospital, and 2 weeks later, he has a gig booked. He's got Lightning and Thunder back on stage 2 weeks after having 5 bypasses. He tells everyone, hey, listen, my retirement will be my grave. Mike Sardina died in July 2006, a week after falling and hitting his head on a dresser drawer in his home. Now, hours before his death, Lightning and Thunder performed in an evening pregame and postgame shows at Madison Mallard's baseball game in Madison, Wisconsin. And Mike didn't want to cancel the gig. He sang Sweet Caroline during the 7th inning of the Madison Mallard's baseball game, and on the way home, he just wasn't himself. He started feeling disoriented. He started feeling nauseous. Mike couldn't remember how to get home. He was saying that his head hurt. Claire drove him straight to the hospital, and they found out that he had hemorrhaging in his brain, and he never woke up. Mike Sardina passed away on July 27th, 2006. And Claire said, without Lightning, I'm just Claire. Michael Sardina died at the young age of 55, and his obituary read, Michael was best known as Lightning of Lightning and Thunder. Michael was a Neil Diamond impersonator and had been happily performing with his wife, known as Thunder, for over 17 years. Michael dutifully served his country as a veteran of the Vietnam War. He was a recovering alcoholic of 25 years and celebrated his daily sobriety. Michael is survived by his wife of 12 years, Claire, his stepchildren, Rachel and Dana, and his children, Michael Jr. and Angelina. We would like to thank all of the many fans of Lightning and Thunder for their years of support. The day of Mike's funeral, a package arrived to the Sardina home, and inside was a Gibson guitar. Mike had always wanted a Gibson guitar. There was a note attached, and that note read, "Time is long and life is short. It is with a heavy heart that I write this after hearing about Mike Sardina this morning. I remember him saying he always wanted a real Gibson Everly Brothers guitar. I played this guitar alongside Pete Townsend and Neil Young. And before he moves on, I would like this last opportunity presented to him. I lift my eyes to the sky and make a toast to lightning and thunder and love. Thanks for the music and memories. Your musical comrade, with love, Eddie Vedder." Mike never got to meet his idol, Neil Diamond, and Claire says that for years, the duo tried so hard to meet him. They would try to win backstage passes, they would attend his concerts and wait by the tour bus. And Claire said that I always believed in my heart he knew who we were and he knew of us. Well, because of the 2008 documentary Song Sung Blue, directed by Greg Coase, Neil Diamond did find out who Lightning and Thunder was. Now, director Greg Coase actually followed the couple around for 8 years with a camera crew, and he produced this film. And this film won a lot of awards at indie and underground festivals. It was getting rave reviews. Now, here's the thing. Greg Coase, he needed permission from Neil Diamond to use his songs in the movie. So he wanted to send him a copy of the film so that he could put the songs in it. But he didn't know if that would get Neil Diamond's attention. So Eddie Vedder, who is a part of this story, a huge part, actually wrote to Neil Diamond and said, "You need to know about this movie. It's a cool thing. You should check it out." So Neil Diamond gave this movie his blessing, and he's quoted as saying, "I'm honored to have my songs be part of this love story." And now he knew who Lightning and Thunder were, so he invited Claire and her family to be his front row guest at a show in Milwaukee. And he asked to meet Claire personally. And when she met him, she said, "I am overwhelmed with joy. My husband lived and died for this moment." Claire gave Neil Diamond a Lightning and Thunder CD, and she also gave him this little frog pin that recalls the lyrics from I Am, I Said, and that's about a frog who dreamed of being a king and then became one. And Neil Diamond wore that pin on stage, and he mentioned it and talked about Claire during his concert. And Claire says that he was pointing at me and flirting with me from the stage. The last Neil Diamond song that Mike Sardina ever sang was Sweet Caroline. And I'm reading through the lyrics, and it is sort of reminding me of their relationship. And I just wanted to read a verse to you. "Look at the night, and it don't seem so lonely. We fill it up with only two. And when I hurtin' runs off my shoulders. How can I hurt when holding you?" I will leave you with some beautiful words that Michael's stepdaughter said at his funeral. "There will never be another Michael Sardina because lightning never strikes twice." Thank you so much for being here with me today, and I hope to see you again next week. Don't forget to hit that follow button. And until then, stay safe and stay paranoid. Residue is created, hosted, written, researched, edited, and produced by me, Chrissy Champagne. See you soon.